Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the American Family series on parents and children today, the history of the American family on the American television through 20th century to the 21st. Today we will be traversing this border between centuries, starting with the Sopranos series and Twin Peaks before that, and then getting into the Breaking Bad, the one of the most influential, important, significant series of the 21st century. So to start with, let's see what happened previously on the American Family series. Do a little recap of what had happened last time with our discussion of early American television, starting with I Love Lucy, which premiered in 1951 and explored in depth the female protagonist, the woman protagonist, gave audience the first chance to see an ensemble of actors on the one screen and was shot with multiple cameras at the same time. In 1970s, we had All in the Family, important, very important comedy show from 1970s that had introduced the American audience to the social, political discussions on race, gender, sex, various political and social subjects important for that time and that are still important for the American society. And then we had The Simpsons, the comedy show, animated comedy show that brought a pinch of darkness, satire, a lot of counterculture to the American TV. That was seen as a very controversial subject by many American viewers in 1990s. And basically, these significant milestones of the American television brought us to the period when a lot of previous limitations were kind of no more and allowed the producers of TV shows, the creators, to work on something far more, I wouldn't say extreme, but in many cases radical and new in comparison to what the American TV had in the second half of the 20th century in 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, to make a step away from the genre kind of TV shows to something more artistically valuable, to something more personal, unique, and original. So the topic of today's conversation is going to be parents and children, and we're going to take a look at the darker side of this relationship, because basically the positive side, the bright side of parents and children, fathers and sons, has been explored by us during our last conversation a week ago, when we saw a lot of father figures such as Billy Tanner here on screen, or Archie Bunker, or Ricky Gervais from I Love Lucy, to some extent even Homer Simpson, because no matter how many flaws Homer has, he still is a nice, loving, caring father. But today we're going to take a glance at something far more controversial, psychologically complex, and in some cases maybe even disturbing, because starting in 1990s, the subject of the American family gets an additional layer of more dark, obscure, and complex kind of traits, and the characters gain a lot of personality traits that were not typical for the characters of the TV shows in 1950s, 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. So let's take a look at the father figure on American TV in the 20th century before 1990s. Somebody like Billy Tanner from Alf series. So Billy is simple, plain, nice. He is a father. He takes care of his family. He always is willing to give a piece of advice, a piece of his mind. He is the voice of reason in the family. Whenever children are doing something funny, ridiculous, do mistakes, or any other sorts of shenanigans and chicanery, Willie is there to support them. Willie is there to get them out of trouble. Willie is there to kind of save the day, especially with Alf, who is a trickster, who makes a lot of funny stuff, and Willie is the person who is always in control of situations. So whenever something goes wrong, the father is the one to save the day. He is the voice of reason. He is wise. He is helpful. And also, what's even more important, he is the only breadwinner. The same thing goes for I Love Lucy. The same thing goes for All in the Family, and even for The Simpsons. The father is depicted as a breadwinner, as somebody who earns, as somebody who brings money, who brings food on the table, who is basically the only financial source of the family. And that gives him a role of a guard, of a sentinel, of a protector of the family. He is the one to take care of everybody. And that brings us to depicting women in these shows, mostly as home takers, and what is even more important, sometimes figures that would be less aware of life behind the house doors than a husband would be. That happens because basically a woman, Edith, Lucy, Marge, is kind of constantly located in the kitchen, in the apartment, taking care of children. And that was the way to portray mothers in the American 1990s, American 20th century TV shows, with few exceptions. So that gives a father figure an additional layer of, let's say, a hunter, a person who leaves the cave or the house to earn food, to bring back home some supplies, products, money, take care of everybody, protect everybody. He is basically the only person who traversed this tacit border of the apartment door to explore the outside world. And he's the one to bring news. He's the one to bring food and money, while woman is portrayed as a person who waits him at home, taking care of the children. And children are, in their turn, portrayed as somebody waiting for the father to come back from home from work and spend some time with them. So to some extent, that was a way to kind of lock in the viewer's mind a normality of the American family. That is one of the reasons the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening, called the shows like Alf or other shows from 1980s the zombification of the American family. That was partly due to the fact that in Groening's opinion, that was the way to, form an example, create a only way an American viewer would see the American family and the fathers and mothers and children. But in 1990s, to be more precise, in 1990, this father figure, this exemplary role model of the American family starts crumbling, partly because of the new wave of American sitcoms like Simpsons, partly due to the new opportunities directors and producers get in 1990s to direct their fantasies, dreams, and ideas on the TV in a manner that had never happened before. In the TV show Twin Peaks that premiered in 1990, which is directed and created by David Lynch, the notorious, extremely famous American independent director, we see how Lynch's manner to create his worlds changes the American television forever. Primarily because Lynch's manner is dreamlike. It it is filmed in such a fashion that it reminds us of dreams. Sometimes things appear to be illogical. Sometimes things appear to be scary and frightening, because just as any dreams, we have regular dreams and we have nightmares. We have scary pictures, we have scary images appear in front of us. And in some way, this exploration of subconsciousness, of human psyche by Lynch through his dreamlike attitude, through his dreamlike fashion, allowed the American TV to portray the family life in a manner that it had never been portrayed before the Twin Peaks premiere. Because in this show, we see how the father figure and mother figure, the role model of the family, is transformed due to the dark secrets that people of Twin Peaks have, and due to dark secrets people in the city of Twin Peaks hide. So basically, exploring the dark side of the father archetype led to character explanation on the American TV. Because with this deep dive into human subconsciousness and to nightmarish, scary images that Twin Peaks has, we saw on the American television for the first time the dark side of the father figure, the shadow of the father figure, portrayed by several characters of the show. And that, in its turn, allowed us, the viewers, and them, the TV producers, to explore in depth the psychology, the psyche of the characters of various TV shows. In my opinion, adding this extra layer of dark was very important, a crucial moment in this development, because for the first time we saw this father figure, the hunter who brings food and money to his home, to become a predator instead of the hunter. Evolve some deep animal-like features, terrifying and disturbing for the viewers and the characters of the show. And thus allowed the further creators, for example, for the show Sopranos and Breaking Bad, that we will discuss soon, to work with deeper characters than, for example, Willie Tanner from Alf, or even Homer Simpson from The Simpsons. So let's discuss one of the emblematic, one of the most significant American fathers ever portrayed on the television, not only in the United States, but everywhere in the world. Tony Soprano, the mobster, the gangster, the crime lord, and at the same time, an average man in his 40s. And as many average men in his 40s, average men in their 40s, Tony is basically a combination of all the things that trouble his mind while he is traversing his daily routine. So Tony has troubles at work, Tony has troubles in marriage, Tony has mental health issues, he lacks understanding and understandment with his children, and his relationships with his mother is a complete mess. The big difference between Tony and any other viewer in the year of 1999, when The Sopranos first premiered on HBO, is that he doesn't really work in a waste disposal business. He works as a mafia boss in New Jersey, doing crime, doing gambling, doing drugs, well, not doing selling, and taking control of any sorts of criminal activities around him. And not only he has issues in marriage, he has issues with family, because he leads a double life. He has a second family, his mafia family. There's a question from Victor. What about a perspective of a family as a mafia clan, if to speak about the dark side of? Well, that's basically it. The TV show starts with Tony sitting at the psychiatrist's office during his first visit to Dr. Malfi, and he takes a look at a signature, at a sign upon the door leading to the cabinet of Dr. Murphy, to the office of Dr. Murphy, that says, "No man can lead a double life, have two faces, and remain being himself," basically. So that's Tony's issue. That's Tony's problem. He has two families. He has a double life, even though he's pretty open about his social position. Pretty much every character in the show knows that Tony is a crime lord. But this combination of neuroses, of various mental issues, of complex dramas and conflicts with his family and with his colleagues, let's say, is a big part of Tony's portrait, because he's constantly worried, he's constantly stressed, he is in a deep distress about everything that goes on in his life. And the second character of today's conversation is going to be Walter Hartwell White from the Breaking Bad series, premiered in 2008 on AMC. So I think that to explore both characters in depth, we should start with comparing them, because even though on the facet they seem to be very similar, in reality, Walter and Tony are different human beings. So let's see the similarities first. They both are criminals. They both are sociopaths, meaning people who abandon the normalities of social life to earn money and to form their career through something illegal, dangerous, terrible, and something that involves harming other human beings, directly or indirectly. Both of them lead a double life. So I think that Mafia question by Victor is important here, because Tony's double life is well established. He is the head of the family. He is a fatherly figure. He is an archetype of a protector, of earner, of hunter, etc., etc., etc. His double life is equally as well established on one side and the other side. He is the father, or the don of the family, while Walter is an obscure figure. He constantly wears a mask. He hides his feelings from his family. He hides his identity and face from criminals he's working with. He is hiding his intentions, manners. He is a multifaceted person, while Tony is far more obvious to any other observer. Both live by certain principles. So in Tony's case, principles would be protect, dominate, seize power, demonstrate his masculinity and his position, take care of his family, take care of what he sees as the heritage of American Italians. It's very important for Tony. This cultural, national part of him is sometimes difficult for other people around him, but is very, very crucially important to Tony Soprano. For Walter, the principles are somewhat similar. He wants to be the breadwinner. He wants to be a self-fulfilled person, self-made man. He doesn't want to be getting any sorts of gifts, money, support, help from other people. His ego is really important, but unlike Tony, he is struggling to fully get into the position he wants to see himself in. At some point, both have divorced with their wives. Tony, because of his cheating issues, his loyalty issues, and his sociopath behavior. Walter and his wife Skylar, have a different issue. Well, basically, in their case, it's a power play. Walter was so used to some sort of servility and being subordinate to Skylar that at some point of the plot, he openly rebels, and Skylar cannot withstand this this resist Walter is giving her. And that leads us to the differences. So the most important difference between Walter White and Tony Soprano is that Tony is an average human being. He is typical. He is a man in his 40s. He has lots of issues. He is tired at work. Kids are giving him trouble. He has issues with his wife, and he's not sure that after many years of marriage, he still loves her as much as he used to when they first met. And even when we hear Tony in the beginning of The Sopranos, when he complains to Dr. Murphy about his situation at work, if we forget that the work is conducting the activities of the criminal clan in New Jersey, we can really relate to what Tony is saying. Oh, my nephew, he is new at the job. He's constantly messing things. He's spending money unwise. He creates sorts of troubles. He spoiled my relationships with our business partners, etc. Basically, the only difference Tony has from an average man in 1940s, sorry, in their 40s, is that he is a criminal. Apart, of course, from some other antisocial behavior he has, which is to some extent a continuation of his sociopathic behavior. On the other hand, Walter is an extraordinary human being, even a genius who destroyed his potential to be somebody else because of his ego. So before we first meet Walter in the first episode of Breaking Bad, before he had become a school teacher, teaching chemistry in Albuquerque, Walter was one of the co-founders of a gray matter company, the scientific pharmaceutical company that by the moment the show begins earns millions and millions of money, of dollars yearly. The reason Walter left this company is that he felt inferior to his colleagues, to two other co-founders of the gray matter. He felt inferior to them because they're descending from the higher class of American society. They are from more wealthy, well-established families. They are from another social strata, another social class. And Walter, he just cannot live with this feeling of inferiority. He needs to be the first, the best, the only one. And that leads him to a poor decision of living in a company that would make him a very rich, very fulfilled man, and become his career in the middle school in New Mexico. The second major difference between two anti-heroes is that Tony is openly aggressive. His behavior is dominant. His behavior is based on his feeling of his power and his desire and need to always establish it. Tony cannot withstand the situation when he is not in control of the situation, because due to his work, due to his criminal activities, he needs to be constantly in the position of power, because if he is not, his life is at risk. On the other hand, Walter is so used to suppress his anger, to hide it beneath the mask of a good father, of a caretaker, of breadwinner, of a nice school teacher, that he lets this anger and dissatisfaction with his life to boil deep inside him, concealed from everybody, both from his real family and from his mafia family that he eventually gets through Jesse, Mike, Gus. He is a very closed, very suppressed human being. And the other difference is important to understand the differences between the show Sopranos and the show Breaking Bad. Tony's path to power is steady. He's climbing the ladder. He takes it slowly. He started from the very bottom, and now he gets to the top. He gets to the top because he knows how to find a compromise. He knows how to convince people to do what he wants them to do. He was taking his time to get to his position of the boss, while Walter, due to his suppressed nature, was hiding his aggression, his ambition for so long that he gets to the top that instant. And that comes from the fact that he is an extraordinary human being. He's a genius in chemistry. He is a person who knows how to create various chemical conducts, various chemical reactions, and he finds a way how to create a drug, methamphetamine, that is so pure that it constantly conquers the market of this drug in New Mexico and all over the United States in the TV show. So let's take a look at the psychology of Tony Soprano from the point of view of the creators of the show and screenwriters of the show. And I think it's very important to mention Dr. Sigmund Freud here, because the show is loosely based on his ideas of psychoanalysis and study of human behavior and human psyche. So for a short bit from the very first episode from The Sopranos, I'll demonstrate my screen and show the part of it just for a second.
Nowadays, everybody's got to go to shrinks and counselors and go on Sally, Jesse, Raphael and talk about their problems. Whatever happened to Gary Cooper, the strong, silent type? That was an American. He wasn't in touch with his feelings. He just did what he had to do. See, what they didn't know was once they got Gary Cooper in touch with his feelings, that they wouldn't be able to shut him up. And then it's dysfunction this and dysfunction that and dysfunction malfungo.
You have strong feelings about this.
Let me tell you something. I had a semester and a half of college, so I understand Freud. I understand therapy as a concept. But in my world, it does not go down. Could I be happier? Yeah. Yeah. Who couldn't?
Do you feel depressed? Do you feel depressed?
Since the ducks left.
So that is one of the opening scenes of the show. Tony is meeting Dr. Murphy for the first time, a character that is very important in the series further on. And the reason why he is in the psychiatrist's office at all is that Tony, due to immense stress and terrible anxiety caused by his family issues and work issues, started having panic attacks. So Tony would have periods of unconsciousness, when he would lose his consciousness, when he would drop, and that creates lots of risks and difficult situations for him. And he is advised to meet Dr. Murphy to solve these issues, which starts a new layer of exploration of Tony's psychology by himself and the viewers of the TV show. And initially, Tony has to hide this part of his life from both of his families because he feels as a weak human being due to the fact that he has mental issues at all. and due to the fact that he goes to the psychiatrist, whom Tony calls shrink, as a way to call a psychiatrist. So due to the fact that Freud is very important to the creators of The Sopranos, we cannot ignore the issue in relations between Tony and his mother, Lydia. She is a manipulative, mentally unstable human being who needs to have a control over her family, who constantly is complaining and stressing everybody out to urge them to pay some attention to her, to spend some time with her. But she is very emotionally unavailable. She doesn't provide any sort of mother's care, mother's love, mother's affection. She is a very distanced human being, in many ways shaped by the hardships of the life she led during her early years when she was young, before Tony was born, during Tony's childhood, when the Soprano family was climbing to the top, was earning money through the dirty business, through participating in various criminal activities. So Tony's relations with his mother affects his psyche, affects his attitude to himself, to the way how he sees himself. Basically, Tony really needs to establish control over other people and always prove that he is a dominant figure. He does that through sexual relationships with women, mostly other women, side women, not his wife Carmela, because he is, as a person from the Freudian point of view, lacking the love and care and affection of the mother. He constantly seeks for validation of his emotions through spending time with other women. He needs to conquer, he needs to dominate, and that's his way to do that. The other thing, of course, for Tony is violence. He needs to show his aggression. He doesn't hide it. He explores it, and that serves him well in his criminal activities. But that completely destroys his family. That completely destroys his relationships with his wife Carmela and with his children, with AJ, Anthony Jr., and Melody. So to look deeper into that, we have dream sequences in Sopranos. The dreams, as Freud believes, and I guess the HBO producers and Sopranos creators agree, are manifestation of our subconsciousness, of the thoughts that we hide, we try to avoid on the daily basis, but they emerge from the depths of our mind when we sleep. So Tony's visions, Tony's dreams are one of the pinnacles, the best parts of The Sopranos. They are completely ingenious because they show the deeper part of Tony, of a man caring about his family and constantly anxious about his family, constantly worrying, constantly depressing himself with thousands and thousands little issues he cannot ease his grasp upon. Most of Tony's dreams have something to do with sexual intercourse, with sexual relationships with other women, with his desire to conquer, have, and get more of power, of dominance, etc. And that, as I said, affects terribly his relationship with his son and with his daughter and with his wife. So let's focus on father-son relationship here, because it allows us to see many sides of Tony Soprano at the same time. Tony wants AJ, his son, to be tough, to be strong, to inherit Tony's ability to conduct business, to maintain power, to be a dominant human being. And Tony doesn't understand that through that, he pushes AJ away from being a man like Tony is. he cannot leave his alter ego while he has conversation, while he spends time with his son. From one point of view, he wants AJ to be just like him. From the other point of view, he cannot give a chance to AJ to act as Tony does, to be like Tony, because he is afraid of competition. He is afraid of AJ becoming like him just as much as he wants him to be like him. And AJ is a completely different human being because AJ is raised in a completely different situation. Tony explored a lot of hardships and difficulties when he was a child. It was rare when he would have food on his table. It is rare when he had all the luxurities and comforts AJ has, while AJ is a son of an incredibly wealthy man. He has everything that he wants. He goes to a good school. He spends time with children from good families. And in his world, none of the struggles Tony had experienced, none of it exists. So that creates a very difficult situation for Tony in his communication with his children, because he raised them in a way he would have wanted to be raised himself. They know no hardships, they know no issues, they know no struggle. And they are educated, they are well established, and they have no idea of what Tony had went through by that time. So there's a border between them that Tony has no idea how to traverse, and there is no way for him to start acting like them, because he is shaped as a completely different human being, with his traumas, with his neuroses, with his relationships with his mother, and of course with his sociopathic behavior, with his criminal activities. So let's look at Walter as a different sort of a father. Let's look at him as a person who is used to suppress his anger, who is used to wear a mask, and takes a lot of pride of being a nice, kind, soft, gentle father. He is understanding. He is keen to his family. He is used to follow his wife. He's by any means, he's not used to argue with her. And Walter's behavior, in comparison with Tony's, is based on hiding his desire to dominate, is hiding his ambition, and even deny himself the right to be ambitious, in some way of self-punishment. But at some point of the TV show, when Walter is already making his first steps into the world of crime, into the world of drug business, he is still working in the school in New Mexico, and he gives a lecture on the chemical term known as chirality. So chirality is derived from a Greek word that means hand, and that means the situation when isotopes of chemical isotopes that contain the same number and the same combination of molecules are mirror images of each other. So even though they consist of the same matter, of the same atoms, of the same molecules, they have a very different behavior. They have a very different reaction from each other. And this is a beautiful metaphor of Walter and the emerging figure of Heisenberg, his dark shadow, his alter ego that Walter creates to participate in drug business. Because both Walter and his alter ego, Heisenberg, consist of the same psyche, of the same soul, of the same character, but they act very differently, but they do things that would be despicable for the other chiral counterpart. They the same, and at the same time, they're mirror images of each other that cannot be combined, though they are derived from the same basis. And if we had light touch on Freud, I guess it's only logical to see to Jungian archetypes of father and the shadow, because they are depicted in Walter's character perfectly, in my opinion. So Walter is a father to his son, to Walter Jr. Actually, it's interesting to note a resemblance between Walter and Tony Soprano here, because both of their sons are named exactly like they are. Anthony Soprano Jr., Walter Hartwell White, Walter Jr. White. But there's a different side of Walter and his father archetype. There is a side where he becomes a father to Jesse Pinkman, his student, his colleague, his partner in crime, who is younger, who is lacking guidance, who is lacking support from his family. And basically, he becomes a prey to Walter, while Walter is exploring his dominant, vile, and cruel part of psyche, which is Heisenberg. To Walter, Jesse becomes an able son, a son that can, unlike Walter Jr., to be a continuation of the father, to be always around him, participating in what Walter likes, basically egoistical part of Walter's nature wants Jesse more than it wants Walter Jr. to be around him. And the reason to that is, first, Walter Jr. is used to kind, gentle, soft Walter that Walter White is abandoning while he is becoming Heisenberg. The second reason is that Walter Jr. is disabled. He is handicapped. He has a genetical issue. He is half paralyzed and has a lot of issues with moving, any sorts of physical activities. He requires a constant protection. He requires a constant attention. And it's only logical for Walter to distance himself from his only son, because Walter is now so occupied with his exploration of the dark side of his character. But what kind of a father Walter makes to Jesse? While he's all ambitious and also eager to realize his potential as a crime lord, as Heisenberg, does he become a good father to Jesse Pinkman? Does he compensate with Jesse whatever he cannot achieve with his real son, with his biological son? The answer to this question is obviously no. Walter exploitates Jesse. Walter breaks Jesse mentally by making him participate in terrible, despicable activities Walter is doing. And he manipulates him, and he wants Jesse just as a trophy, just as a trinket of Walter's achievements and his realization of his ambitions. So at some point of the series, we see an opposition to Walter's influence on Jesse, which is Mike Ehrmantraut. Mike is a criminal too. He works for Gustavo Fring, the crime lord in New Mexico. And even though he is a criminal, there is an interesting difference here between Walter and Mike, which is Mike being far more reasonable, far more wise and protective figure. So there's an interesting combination here of duality of morals. Even though both Mike and Walter are criminals, they kill people, they do a lot of harm. Not by any means they are good, morally unquestionable human beings, but Mike is seen by Jesse and by a lot of audience, a lot of viewers of Breaking Bad, as a better human being. So why is that? I guess that the reason is that we see Mike, even though he is a criminal, far more resembling the father figure we were discussing before. I'm not saying necessarily that he is exactly like Willie Tanner, but he has the same traits and he has the same parts of his personality. He is taking care of people around him. He loves his daughter. He is the sweetest grandpa who loves his granddaughter, who spoils her in a good way, brings her presents, plays with her, etc. He wants best to people he cares about. And he is not hesitant, not even for a moment. He's not hesitant, not even for a moment, to protect them. So if he needs to put a bullet into somebody to protect his granddaughter or his or the wife of his son who has passed away before the show began, he is not hesitant to do that. And he becomes this sort of father figure for Jesse, who is not exploiting him, who is not manipulative, who at some point becomes a protector for Jesse, a wise teacher who teaches him how to live and really wants him best and really wishes him best and wishes Jesse to quit the business and start his new life, which Walter obviously doesn't want Jesse to do, because Walter wants to have Jesse. Walter wants to possess Jesse. That is the reason why Jesse at the end of the Breaking Bad says Walter White, he is the devil. He is the devil because Walter's ambition is not ultimately to have a lot of money and to have a lot of power in the regular sense. He doesn't want to be a part of higher class society. He wants to possess human beings. He wants to be responsible for their lives, for their souls. He wants to control them. He wants to decide when they live and when they die, because it all is a dangerous game for Walter. And obviously, Jesse is the finest example of that, because Walter wants Jesse to be not just subordinate, not just like in relationships between Tony Soprano and his nephew Chris, where Tony wants Christopher to be loyal and subordinate. Walter wants Jesse to, well, basically be a slave, basically have no personality and no ambitions apart from being a tool, a toy in Walter's hands. So that is basically the reason of antagonism between Walter and Mike. It's not just that they're different human beings, it's that one is the demonstration of the shadow of the father archetype, and the other one serves as the father for Jesse. So in this instance, Walter White inherits more from Twin Peaks show that we have started with today, because he is not like Tony Soprano, who is a relatable, understandable, in some ways, average human being whose destructive behavior and sociopathic behavior leads him to destroy his life, his psyche, and his family. Walter is some sort of creature that possesses a lot of traits of mystical nature, of philosophical nature, and of especially existential philosophy kind of traits of nature. Because Walter is in many ways like Bob from the Twin Peaks show, the Bob, the devilish demon, the creature that possesses people and makes them explore their violence and hatred and anger, the inner aggression, the animal-like behavior inside of them. So Walter, much like Bob, is a personified force of destruction, a chemical reaction contained long enough to produce an explosion. So unlike Tony, Walter has this deep hatred, anger, fear hidden inside him, and it was contained long enough to produce an explosion, which is the reason of the difference between Tony and Walter we discussed before, in which is Tony climbed steadily and Walter got to the top that instant. It's because Tony has spent all his life on getting to the top, and Walter just contained himself long enough to explode and destroy lives of people around him, serving as an agent of chaos, some sort of, mystical angel of death type of redemption to everybody around him, punishing himself and people who surround him, destroying their lives, destroying their business, exposing their dirty deeds. Walter is just as Mike describes him in the show, a time-ticking bomb that is about to explode. And this is Walter. This is the agent of chaos that has a lot of resemblance with Bob from Twin Peaks, as a force of nature that personifies the anger, the hatred of social injustice, of suppressed ambitions, of unhappiness in the family, of various difficulties that people like Walter or like Tony have in their life. So to conclude what we have for today, the importance of exploration of crime, antisocial behavior, sociopathic behavior in American shows like Twin Peaks, The Sopranos, and Breaking Bad, in my opinion, is that it allowed the showrunners, TV producers, screenwriters, directors to explore not only the facet of the American family, not only the what we see at our first glance, the loving family, the breadwinning father, the homekeeper mother. Also, it allowed the creators of the TV shows to explore the dark side of the American family, the extremes, the unlikely but possible terrible traits that the family can have. And that, in its turn, allowed the creators of TV shows to explore the psychology of the American family, not necessarily to depict something bad, but it allowed us to see both good sides and bad sides by pointing us to the extremities of the dark shadow sides of the American family. And that would lead us to our next conversation, when we will discuss, how did I do that? That allowed us to our next conversations, in which the American family will be explored in all depth, both light and dark sides, both positive and shadow, both nice, good, kind, gentle, independent, and also something similar to Tony Soprano and the father from Twin Peaks and Walter White. So thank you so much for your attention, and let's get to the questions. So I see from Nikita, well, thank you so much. It's in Russian. It says, yeah, thank you. So while we're waiting for some future questions, let's look deeper into question from Victor about mafia and clan as the dark side of the family. So it is a somewhat difficult question regarding Tony and Walter. Because for Tony, the family is basically his workplace. in The Sopranos, he goes to Bada Bing Club and to the Italian restaurant. I can't remember the name. Basically, as to his workplace, like to the office. The real dark side of the family for Tony is Ricky Jr., if I remember correctly, the son of the previous boss, and Christopher. Though Christopher in some way is family, it is very, very tensely related for Tony. And for Walter, there is no family. He wants to distance himself from his real family, and he doesn't create any sort of organization of people loyal to each other based on some sort of moral code, like Cosa Nostra or things like that. There's nothing like that for Walter, because basically he doesn't want to be a father. He wants to be an emperor. Just as he says, I'm not in the drug empire business, I'm in the empire business. There is a question, in what ways did Twin Peaks change American television? Well, the answer to that would be that it portrayed, first, it portrayed the dark side of the humanity, the dark side of the psyche, the dark side of human beings and their dark secrets, basically in this way for the first time on the American TV. It's not that it was something entirely new for all the medias, because by 1990s we already had a lot of movies and books on that, Stephen King, Orson Welles, Alfred Hitchcock, you name it. But for TV, that was a very domestic sort of entertainment, a very comforting way to spend your time. Twin Peaks was something entirely new. And another thing is that basically Twin Peaks, as many people say, is the first example of commercially successful surrealistic art house premiered on TV. Nothing like that ever happened before, because it's not just a story, it's 1,000 little layers of images and metaphors and motifs hidden in the rhythm, in the structure, in the poetry and aesthetics of Twin Peaks. So it's basically the first art house surrealistic piece of art ever portrayed on the American television. How do I see the continuation of these father archetypes in more recent series? Thank you, Mara, for your question. I see it as with deconstruction of the American father during 1990s and early 2000s through Twin Peaks, Sopranos, and Breaking Bad, that allowed us to see a different types of fathers appear on the TV. Now we see not only breadwinners and hunters and earners, we see weaker men, we see more gentle men, we see men who are completely okay with not being dominant in their family. We see men who are more understanding and taking more care about their children. So I think to some extent this deconstruction, this dark period of exploration of dark sides of psychology was crucial and really important to find new ways to portray an American father. Was there any researches or observations on how it influenced or helped to reduce a mafia activity in the US, or was something related with it at the end of mafia age? Victor, thank you, Victor, for a question. I don't have statistics, but I know some tales and rumors the cast of Sopranos would share on various TV shows. Basically, people from mafia knew about Sopranos, were keen on Sopranos, watched the Sopranos, and had their comments. I'm not sure who exactly. I think the actor who played Christopher Moltisanti during one of his interviews said to the interviewer that at some point James Gandolfini, the lead actor, Tony Soprano, got a phone call at 3 a.m. at night from an unknown phone number, which said, "We like the show you are doing, but know one thing: boss never wears shorts." So I don't know if it helped reduce mafia's activity, but it certainly was well received by mafia in the United States, or somebody acting as mafia. Maybe it was a prankster call. Nobody knows. So if there are no other questions, I guess that's it for today. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your questions, and I'll be happy to see you next time. Thank you.